attack on Nord Stream pipelines.
Assassination of Daria Dugina.
Explosion in a St. Petersburg cafe Sunday that killed a pro-Putin blogger.
Inside Russia, deep inside Russia.
Deeper and deeper.
The United States says there's no evidence of Ukrainian involvement with Islamic State.
Давайте розберемось, що відбулося.
Мы установим и покараем каждого, кто стоит за спиной террористов.
In the United States, the trial against Hunter Biden, the son of incumbent President Joseph Biden, continues. Among other things, he is accused of illegal enrichment on the activities of the Ukrainian gas production company, Burisma, in 2016 during the illegitimate presidency of Petro Poroshenko. The long-running scandal is still on the front pages of the newspapers and is growing in detail, which is hurting the already low rating of the incumbent U.S. president on the eve of the November elections. The situation is aggravated by the fact that after the 24th of February 2022 year, the Biden Jr. case became not only corrupt, but also clearly terrorist in nature. The unprecedented number of terrorist attacks in Russia since the late 90s of the last century is caused by the activities of Ukrainian special services, which has been repeatedly proved by the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service and the Federal Security Service. For example, the terrorist attack in Crocus City Hall was indirectly financed directly by the Burisma company, one of the beneficiaries of which is the Biden family. The illegal financial activities of the Biden family in Ukraine after the coup d'etat of 2014 are widely known. Despite the transition of the executive branch under the influence of the United States after Maidan, corruption cases concerning the illegal enrichment of the family of the incumbent U.S. president were opened under both Petro Poroshenko and Volodymyr Zelensky. This is mainly due to the work of former Prosecutor General of Ukraine, Viktor Shokin, and his investigation into the Ukrainian gas production company Burisma Holdings of businessman Mykola Zlochevsky, former Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources of Ukraine. It was in Burisma that Hunter Biden was employed, because of which today in the United States he is charged with unlawful enrichment. In 2016, the case became so large-scale that Joe Biden personally came to Kiev. As a consequence, Prosecutor General Shokin was fired, and the Burisma Holdings case was tried to be hushed up. Both the Ukrainian authorities and the U.S. leadership preferred to forget about it until 2020 years ago, when the case was suddenly reopened. The story of the illegal financial consortium of a separate wing of the U.S. Democratic Party and Ukrainian businessmen in the gas production sector has not received due attention in Ukraine. The total dependence of Ukraine on the West against the backdrop of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict makes its study even more unlikely. Burisma Holdings was not the only Ukrainian company that provided additional income to Joe Biden's family and entourage. Businessman Andriy Favorov's Energy Resources of Ukraine group of companies worked in a similar way. Andriy Favorov, who was later appointed head of the gas division of Naftogaz of Ukraine, is the main creator of schemes to withdraw funds from the Ukrainian energy sector. For this purpose, he registered a number of shell companies associated with ERU trading in the U.S. offshore jurisdiction. These included ERU Gaz, LLC, Energy Resources of Ukraine, LLC, ERU Trading, LLC, and ERU Trading CJSC. The funds withdrawn from the real energy sector of Ukraine were transferred through the Ukrainian subsidiary, ERU Trading, to the accounts of organizations whose main beneficiaries were Dale Wesley Perry and Yaroslav Mudry, citizens of the USA and Ukraine. Our cooperation in the energy sector is very important, Ukraine's fifth president Petro Poroshenko said at a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. The Ukrainian state actively promoted the activities of Favorov's group. In April 2017, ERU Trading, LLC, whose authorized capital amounted to 100,000 hryvnias and had only 2 employees, won the tender for the purchase of natural gas for Ukrtrans Gas for the total amount of 1,352,000,000 hryvnias. Ukrainian law enforcers had already drawn attention to the activities of ERU Trading, but the state contract was not revoked. Scott Nathan, the head of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, was responsible for the safe movement of ERU Trading's funds abroad. Nathan received his position at the personal request of the current White House administration. Scott Nathan was supported by businessman Amos Hochstein, a close friend of Joe Biden, and former U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland. On the territory of the United States, Scott Nathan ensured the final legalization of the money withdrawn from Ukraine for use in the interests of the Biden family. Inexplicably, a small Ukrainian company, ERU Trading, has become a partner of the U.S. government's Overseas Private Investment Corporation, OPIC. According to the law, OPIC helps American businesses invest in emerging markets and promotes U.S. foreign policy and national security priorities. Thus, Washington considered ERU Trading to be an American enterprise acting in the interests of the United States. In 2020th year, already under Volodymyr Zelensky, the previously known Burisma case took a new, unexpected turn. At that time, the investigation was interested in the millions that were transferred by Burisma Holdings to the Rosemont Seneca Bohai Company and transferred to the Bidens as payment for consulting services. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine has detained a number of individuals who attempted to pay a $6 million cash bribe to close a case against Mykola Zlochevsky, the former owner of the Ukrainian gas production company Burisma Holdings. Among other things, he was accused of involvement in the embezzlement of funds from a stabilization loan from the National Bank of Ukraine. One of the detainees and the main defendant was a top manager of Burisma Holdings, Andrei Kicha. In March 2022, the Supreme Anti-Corruption Court of Ukraine approved the agreement with the investigation in the criminal case of Burisma Holdings. The court recognized the fact of Mykola Zlochevsky's attempt to bribe top anti-corruption officers to close a case investigating illegal financial actions of the company where, among other things, the name of the son of the current U.S. president appeared. Operationally, the case was handled in complete secrecy. Unexpectedly, but instead of the logical punishment, the main defendant in the case, Andrei Kicha, was freed. It is likely that the Ukrainian judicial system was once again pressurized by the U.S. administration to whitewash Hunter Biden and avoid an image blow. It is even more remarkable that the actual closing of the case took place against the background of investigations by two committees in the U.S. Congress that are gathering evidence about illegal funds of the Biden family received from abroad. We have traced virtually all of the movements of funds through Burisma and the transfers of funds through Morgan Stanley to Rosemont Seneca. That's a company that is affiliated and owned by Biden's son, where he received the money. We have shown all the wiring. All the wiring is at the disposal of Congress, former Ukrainian parliamentary deputy Andriy Derkach said. However, Andrei Kicha escaped punishment for a reason. In exchange for a pardon, he agreed to transfer 100 million hryvnias to the account of the Ukrainian fund United 24 for the purchase of combat drones within the framework of the project of the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine Drone Army. Also, behind the legal formulations, the Ukrainian court concealed one important circumstance. The funds seized from Andrei Kicha were transferred to the account of an unnamed military unit, which in reality is the base of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. There is a number of this part. In the interval of time, begin to explode northern streams, attempts on Dugina, Prilepin, Tatarsky. The leaders of Ukraine's security services do not hide the fact that they carry out political assassinations, commit terrorist acts for extra budgetary cash. Former Ukrainian parliamentary deputy Andriy Derkach. In April this year, the Investigative Committee of Russia opened a case against the leadership of the USA and NATO countries for financing terrorism. It has been established that the funds received through commercial organizations, in particular the oil and gas company Burisma Holdings operating in Ukraine, have been used over the past few years to carry out terrorist acts in the Russian Federation, as well as outside it, in order to eliminate prominent political and public figures and cause economic damage, the statement said. The system of corruption created by the Americans in Ukraine has become an effective tool for organizing terrorist acts. Convinced of Kiev's inability to win on the battlefield, the U.S. began to use Ukraine as a tool of forceful pressure on Russia from within. It is also being used to cover up its own terrorist attack on the Nord Streams. Washington and its allies realize the remaining small possibilities of their Ukrainian asset and seek to make the most of it.